Alright guys, in this video I'm going to give you a brief rundown, well not brief, but a rundown of the card layout and what each individual slot stands for and all that good stuff. So, as you can see here, you have two different types of cards. This here is a general card. Not just because it says general, but there's no resource cost. Over here you have a standard unit card, and it has a resource cost of 3, as you can see. Now, you've probably noticed the different stat values I have, along with the abilities and the skills. Pretty much every unit and war machine and structure has a set value of stats, abilities, and some type of skill. For those of you who are used to playing D&D and probably even Warhammer-ish from what I can remember, the stats and everything, you'll feel right at home with that. You'll catch on real quick. It's also 4th of July weekend, so if you hear some explosions going off in the background, welcome to South Carolina, where we like to blow shit up on 4th of July weekend. So, anyways, um, I guess I'll go ahead and give a description of what these are. The red sword is your attack value, and that's how much damage the unit will do during combat. The blue shield is the defense value, basically just a number for how well armored the unit is. The black with the little pentagram on the inside of it, um, that's the magic defense value. That's pretty much how resistant they are to spells and magic. The little heart are for hit points, and that's pretty self-explanatory. It's the health of the unit. You know, if it reaches 0, it dies. The little armored boot is its movement pace. That's how many different squares that it can move during its movement phase, or during your movement phase. Um, can probably see them a little bit better over here on the general card just because of the weird lighting I have. But um, so one thing that I would like to point out would be that for the hit points are static, which means they don't change during the game, and well, I mean they don't. Woo. Okay, there we go. I hit the camera. Hit points are static. They're going to change depending on if there's damage taken or if they get healed. What I've been had a lot of luck with doing is using a D10, because again the game runs on a D10 mechanic, and just putting a D10 with whatever hit points the unit, structure, or war machine has, and then adjusting accordingly. Um, Whatever the unit starts with, like this one starts with 5, it can't be healed over 5, and it can't go past 5 unless there's some kind of specific source allowing it to, like the farm resource or something like that. Um, you don't have to do this method, but I've had a lot of luck with it because it's a physical reminder of, one, how many hit points this unit has, so both players, you know, can keep track of it, and two, it's it's actually kind of fun to keep track that way, but you can just use pen and paper as well. Whatever is easier for the players, it's fine. But anyways, so moving on to the abilities here. This is where you're going to find your faction specific like abilities, and then the types of weapons that the unit can use and the type of armor that the unit can use. As you can see, this is a Elvish Archer. The type of weapons that it can use, it's limited to bows. The kind of armors that it can use are light and medium, which are L and M, and then it can't equip a shield. Now, next would be this unit's particular skills. It has there are two types of skills. There are constant skills, and then there are just standard skills that the unit can use during combat. Constant skills are, as it implies, they're constant. They're forever in effect, so they don't require any kind of special like timing or using of the attack or anything like that. Your other ones, like this one here with multi-shot, it'll tell you that it uses the attack for the turn, which means that this particular unit does not get a standard attack whenever during combat phase if you decide to use the multi-shot skill. A lot of the generals have at least 2 or 3 skills as well. Again, there's constants and then there's other ones that you have to use. So yeah, like I said, that's a general like card layout. It's really simple once you start understanding everything. Let me show you what the war machines and the structures look like. So your war machines are, it's a typical setup just like your normal units, um, with your resource cost and the abilities and the skills and all that. So nothing really changes all that much. Your structures are a little bit different, um, just in the sense that, damn, that glare is pretty bad. Sorry, guys. Just in the sense that most of them only have a resource cost and a hit point value. Um, and then their skills, they aren't really skills considering it's a structure. So it typically just has a list of stuff that it does. So that's a typical card layout for like your standard, your units and your war machines and your structures. Um, Moving on to a card layout for your equipment. There's a couple of different pieces of equipment. If you've already watched the um, equipment video, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, then you know, here's your chance. There's different sizes of equipment, um, and as I showed you previously with the other units, certain units can only use certain sizes of things and stuff like that. So here's 2 types of equipment. Um, you'll notice you have your resource cost up here, and then a long description of like what it is. Like this is a claymore. It's a piece of equipment. It's a weapon, obviously. It's in the sword class, and it's a large weapon. The bow is an equipment. It's in the weapon class. It's a bow, obviously, and it's a medium-sized piece of equipment. You'll also notice that they do different things when they're equipped to a unit. Um, Let me show you 2 other pieces of equipment, um, just to show you a little bit more variety. There's that one and our good buddy scale armor. Okay. So again, resource cost up on the top, what it is, the relics. Relics, again, if you didn't watch the other video, they're basically, they don't fall into like a weapon or an armor class. They simply are just, they're for everybody. They're like, everyone can use relics. Um, Here's your scale armor telling you like what it is. It's an armor piece and its size or weight or whatever. And then again, a description of what they do once they're equipped. Um, so that takes care of the equipment and relic card layout. I've got a couple more to show you guys, and it's the actions and the world magics. Simple enough. Um, Again, options here is an older card. It's one of the original with the gray and all that. But anyways, just showing you progress. I've been listening to player feedback and everything with adjusting the way shit looks and plays. But anyways, resource costs up in the top, and whatever it is, it'll tell you in the middle, and it'll say action or world magic. Again, actions can only be played during your turn. World magics can be played at any time during the game. Um, and then obviously, whatever it does, it does. Um, Interesting thing about the old ways here, um, it's actually a really good card. Basically, in a nutshell, you pick one of your units and one of your units and one of your opponent's units on the same side of the battlefield, and they basically just fight it out until one of them's dead. Um, there can't be anything used like actions or world magics until end of turn effects, spells, or any skills or anything like that. It's literally just like the base units beating the crap out of each other, and may the best unit win. But, ooh, I hit it again. Sorry, guys. So that takes care of those card layouts. Now, I'll move on to the resource card layouts. And again, everything's pretty basic right now just because it is, I'm still play testing and all, so a lot of this stuff is bound to change, especially once I start getting like card borders worked and all that good stuff. But anyways, so here's your resources. It'll tell you what type of resource it is, if it's a bountiful resource or a basic resource. And as I said in the resource video, they all do their own specific thing. I didn't want resources to just be this bland mechanic that's just like, oh, well, I guess I need two more. While that's still a thing because you'll need resources to work stuff, I wanted to give the player incentive to actually draw from their resource deck later on in the game, just so they can get the bonuses that, the different resources give. Um, because, like the iron mine here, it has its own specific bonus. Um, farm has its own specific bonus. They all have their own specific bonus for having multiple copies of the same basic resource in play. So that about does it for my like card layout thing, just to show you guys basically just the way the cards are set up, what the little attributes, what the stats mean, on the side of the card, um, and just a general rundown of the way the cards are set up. So that way, once you start watching the other videos, you're not totally lost and you can recognize what's what and how it's all laid out. So, yeah, with that being said, I guess on to another video, guys. I appreciate you all putting up with me during this stuff, and yeah, just thank you.